Hello everyone, my name is Glenny Gilroy. I'm a book writer. I've published 36 novels, including A Forest Next to the Castle, A Handsome View of the Lake, and A Saucepan in One of the Cabinets. Most of them are very good, and 3 of them are perfect. I will be sharing with you today some notes on my process. Roman numeral 1. Art mimics life, but books mimic setting, decorations, and characters' names. These are the 3 principles of fiction. Setting, characters' names, and decorations are what offset boring conversations that characters have together. Setting. Books are set anywhere you want them to be, but typically the most realistic setting for a book is between the year 1950 and 2005, and it takes place in an old castle with a small shopping center not far away. Decorations. What sort of lamps do the characters have? Are all of them turned on? They're not all turned off, right? Because then we couldn't see any of the characters. So how many lamps are turned on, and where's the silverware drawer? Characters' names. Ben, Gil, Meredith, Ashley, Kyle, Graham, William, Andrea, Penny, Leland, Cole, and Alex, if it's a girl. Roman numeral 2. When I write a book, I write from start to finish. First, I write the title of the book, followed by my name. On the next page, I write the publishing information, and on the next page, I write the table of contents. At this point, I've usually called my publisher to tell them the book is almost finished. They'll call the printers, and a few hours later, 40,000 copies of my book are rolling down a conveyor belt. Before we can talk about structure, let's think for a second about how long a book is. Usually a book is 150 pages if it's about a battle scene, 300 pages if it's about a brother and a sister who are having an argument. And that's the longest that a book should ever be. Now, I have one book. It's called Doctor's Office in the Wild Wild West, and that book was a mistake because it's 1,100 pages and no one will read that. The only reason I wrote a book that long was because more patients kept coming into the doctor's office because there was a feud among the cowboys. Roman numeral 3. We all know basic narrative structure. 11 acts. I'm not going to spend too much time on this since we all know it. This is a loose structure. Act 1. Characters discuss one another's flaws. This is where you set up what the book is about. Act 2. The characters go outside, but the narrator doesn't go outside. They stay and take the reader on a tour of the castle. Act 3. The protagonists come back inside. By now, we should see that one of the protagonists was actually the antagonist the whole time. Now, this is where the structure gets confused. The protagonist says, "I'm hungry," and the antagonist asks, "What's for lunch?" It's not until the climax of Act 4 that we find out what's for lunch. Act 5. A messenger arrives from the town, bringing news to the protagonist that the lawyer is feeling sick, and so they might need someone to be the new lawyer for a little while. Act 6. The messenger gazes out the window of the castle at the horses. He mentions that the horses look hungry, that they might need to be fed. Act 7. The messenger and the protagonist take a basket of peaches out to the stable, and they feed the horses. The messenger gets a call on his phone and leaves the estate. Footnote. Some people have criticized my novels because when a character climbs on a horse, the horse neighs and the narrator says, "The pony couldn't believe how fat that character had become." Act 8, 9, and 10 are what I like to call the exciting conversation. This is the part of a book that everyone has been waiting for, and since most of the book has been very boring, it's time to make the characters talk about something exciting. The protagonist comes back inside and says, "What should we talk about?" The conversation should develop organically over the course of 3 acts, as we see the characters try to find an interesting topic to latch onto. Finally, at the crescendo of Act 11, the antagonist remarks, "What's for dinner?" And the protagonist says, "It's only 5 o'clock, it's too early to eat dinner." And the antagonist's stomach grumbles, and the narrator excuses themselves because they haven't used the restroom since the story started. Footnote. Do my characters use the bathroom? Yes, once or twice if the book takes place over the course of 1 hour, but sometimes 10 to 15 times if it takes place over 3 years. But I'm not nasty. My narrator doesn't describe it because they can't go into the bathroom too. That would be weird. So they wait outside the door and the story takes a pause. The narrator might say, "Are you enjoying the book so far?" Good, I'm glad to hear that. Now, this is a loose structure, and you can see it demonstrated in all of my books, but most acutely in "The fireplace looked nice," "An early breakfast today," and "The characters had better get up to bed." Roman numeral 4. A book is not a self-contained world. Characters from other novels should walk into the background and say something along the lines of, "Remember me? I was in The Gloved Handshake Treachery by Glenny Gilroy." Roman numeral 5. Let's talk about metaphors. The antagonist, standing and looking into the fire, wondering if they've been a bad guy, that's not a metaphor, because there are no clothes involved. Metaphors must always involve clothes. So, a pair of muddy boots left on the deck, that's not a metaphor, because the boots are muddy. But a button-up shirt hanging on a clothes hanger, that's a metaphor for cleanliness.